Hello, my name is Rachel Smith. I am the Vice President of El Refugio de Esperanza, or God, our Refuge of Hope, in Peru, South America. I would like to share a little bit about myself and tell you about our ministry here.
I'm a PK, or pastor's kid, and came to a personal, saving knowledge of Jesus at a young age. I was at a fall harvest festival at my church and decided that I wanted Christ to forgive me of my sins and help me to live a life for Him. My family moved around a bit in my early years, from Missouri to Idaho, and then to Kansas, where my parents and younger sister live to this day. I attended a Christian high school and became very active in ministry and volunteer work. Some of the volunteer work I have been involved with includes working with kids programs at the local YMCA, becoming a big sister for Big Brothers Big Sisters, helping my dad lead and then leading our church's nursing home ministry, and more recently, becoming a women's ministry mentor, worship team technician, small group leader, young adult leader, and middle school youth group leader at my home church in Washington State. I attended undergraduate at a few different places and ended up by getting my bachelor's at Wichita State University in 2008. Afterward, I worked with adolescents in drug and alcohol rehabilitation and then with adults with severe and persistent mental illnesses. Also during this time, I started volunteering at the Wichita Family Crisis Center as an advocate for women and children fleeing domestic violence. In 2011, I decided to return to school and work towards my PhD in community psychology, a field that taught me to go into communities, assess the core issues that contribute to things like poverty, violence, and injustice, and develop or improve programs to fit the needs and cultural values of these communities. I received my PhD in 2015 and then started working in Chicago with underserved inner-city youth in violence prevention. Next, I worked for the Sexual Assault Center for Pierce County with victims of sex trafficking near Seattle, Washington. It was while at the Sexual Assault Center that God called me into missions in Peru. I had been looking for a change in work for a while, but nothing I came across felt right. I loved working with trafficking victims, but I was dissatisfied with my current position and my inability to share Christ with my clients as I worked for a non-faith-based organization. God had introduced me to Bob and Becky Bass years before while they were raising money to start church planting in the jungles of Peru. I became very good friends with them and had talked with them about coming down to Peru for a short-term missions trip, but never got around to it. Just as I was asking God what He could possibly have for me, how I had gotten so lost that I didn't know where I should go or what I should do next, my home church in Washington held a missions conference. We had just adopted a new people group in Africa, and our global missions team was telling us about them. I didn't feel drawn to go to Dagestan, but I did feel God calling me to be open to whatever He might have in store for me. I lifted my hands, palms up, and told the Lord, "Here I am, send me." I didn't know exactly what I was committing to, but it was a powerful turning point in my life. Just a few weeks later, I received a call from Bob in Peru. He and Becky had been feeling a calling to reach out to the most vulnerable in Peru. They had been seeing sex trafficking everywhere they went. According to the UN Organization for Women, Latin America has the highest rates for violence against women in the world, and just 6 countries in Latin America, Peru included, make up over 80% of cases of gender-based violence. With my 10-plus years of experience with domestic violence and sex trafficking, Bob wanted to ask me how to help these victims. I have been training professionals in the greater Seattle area about how to identify and respond to sex trafficking of adolescents. So I was prepared and gave Bob my highly condensed 30-minute spiel. Thinking this would end with Bob asking me to set up virtual trainings for him and other ministry partners, I was surprised when he instead asked me if I would be willing to come to Peru and help him start an organization to serve women and children who are victims of abuse and sex trafficking. And after much prayer and conference with my spiritual advisors, I said yes. El Refugio de Esperanza is a missionary effort that seeks to reach the most vulnerable with the hope of Christ by providing for their spiritual, emotional, and physical needs. We do this by providing programs for these targeted communities with medical care and basic needs, provide biblical counseling and emotional guidance, support economic self-sufficiency, and embed these services in a supportive community, the church body. In areas where there is no partnering church, our organization will utilize church planting methods to ensure continuity of support and faith-based practices and morals. As with all things, COVID-19 impacted my plans for fundraising in the States. Because of the overwhelming need here in Peru and the limitations of in-person contact in the States at the time I left, I decided to take a leap of faith and come to the mission field without full funding. I have been able to meet with my team in person, start language courses to improve my Spanish and learn the Peruvian dialect, and contribute to the fundamental operating of several programs. Our first home for children who have suffered abuse is ready to open and is just waiting on final approval from the federal government here in Peru. We have started several other programs, including training local church members on how to identify and respond to victims of abuse and trafficking, and a program to provide essential life-sustaining nutrition and education to families who are the most at risk of violence. In order to stay here in Peru without interruptions to my ministry, I need to raise more monthly support. There are some one-time costs that I need to cover as well. My monthly goal is $2,000. This will cover food, bills, health costs, and utilities and housing. Another cost right now is for language school. In order to work efficiently with my team, I need to see massive and rapid improvement in my Spanish. These costs are about $150 a month in addition to my current monthly costs. Other funding needs are for the purchase of a vehicle, about $5,000, and furnishing my apartment once it's built. Would you pray with me for the needs of the women and children in Peru who are being abused or trafficked and who desperately need to hear about the love and sacrifice of Jesus? Would you be willing to partner with me in serving the abused here in Peru? Any amount helps. I would love to meet virtually with you, your friends and family, your church, small group, missions board, or elder board. Please contact me so we can set something up.